Someone asked on Reddit, have you ever been betrayed in a relationship? Which story's betrayal surprised you the most? Express your opinion in the comments. Store 1.
I thought my trust was broken and I could never love again after being betrayed in friendships by family and partners. I fell in love with a guy 10 years older and told him how much I was scared he would leave. I worried for years at the beginning of the relationship, but he'd tell me regularly, "I'm a grown man, I know what I want." Since he had 10 years on me, I took him at his word. Halfway through the relationship, I found out he had lied about many things. I was invested and loved him, so I carried on, but honestly, some feelings faded that day. He lied about his passport being fake to make himself appear older. That was when I found out he was actually 10 years older, not 7 or 8, which is such a strange lie, and some other stuff that felt like he was trying to relate to my experiences. Anyway, 6 and a bit, so let's call it 7 years later, I'm pretty much at peace with the fact I'm settling for this guy. I'm not happy at all. He lashes out whenever I say anything he finds critical and reacts negatively about it. He pretty much refused to work on himself or improve in any way, but would constantly tell me how I was at fault and used my mental health struggles against me. He would respond with emotional distance and limit affection. He broke up with me after treating me poorly, saying it was because he didn't want kids. He was the one who asked me to marry him, knowing that I always wanted kids, especially after the first few years because I'd talk about when I became a parent, and he claimed he never wanted them. He said he had been losing feelings for a while. I felt incredibly hurt and betrayed that he hadn't said anything sooner, and was frustrated by the lack of honesty it took to keep me in limbo for 7 years. We broke up in late August or early September, and he's still at my house not leaving until after the new year because he doesn't want to go to emergency housing. I've been homeless and have a hard time saying no, and he still wants intimacy, and I struggle to assert myself even when I feel so uncomfortable that I sometimes just go along with things to get them over with quickly. The earliest he can get a place through the council is the new year, and he's never rented properly, being close to 40 years old. I've dropped many hints and shown my disappointment at how long he will be here, but he acts like it's not obvious. I talk about all the things I want to do to my house when he's gone, and I've expressed that my mental health isn't good with him here. I even told him directly that I can't rebuild with him around because it feels like nothing changed, especially with all the physical touch. I'm also feeling shut off because I had a very tough friendship last year that was emotionally draining, which made me distance myself from people since I felt so worn out. My family situation is challenging, and we don't speak much, but I always had my partner until now. I don't trust people who want to be my friend. I don't trust my family. And now I don't trust relationships because I'm so tired of being hurt. This wasn't even my worst relationship, but it felt the most painful due to the emotional difficulties right before the end, along with the fact he had lied so convincingly, or I had become so accustomed to being treated poorly. He was planning on leaving while I was completely unaware of what was coming. I did get a puppy, though, and he's helped me take better care of myself and cut back on using substances, so it was just a small setback. I'm trying to keep myself together for my dog, but I did use some ketamine over a week before things started improving. I don't trust. I just want it to be me and my dog, alone, at least until my mental health improves. It will probably be years before I feel like I did before this.
Store 2.
I am an expert of betrayal. I have been in those a countless of times. It did not give me any warning signs, and I was not prepared for it. I have written a lot of resources about pain and awareness, but betrayal is sure a tough one to give guidelines on how to overcome it. The only person that we can trust right now is ourselves. Regardless whether he promises that things will be different, there will be better future ahead. He will do his best. The only guarantee is you. You will not abandon yourself. You will always choose the good and the best intentions for yourself. If you choose to stay in the relationship, you only have to observe his actions. His actions tells you the truth, regardless of his promises. If you choose to start a new life, trust that you made the right choice by choosing you. Trust that you will create a better version of you, a better life. There is no shortcut. You have to take it one day at a time, like swallowing a bitter pill in order for you to get well. You can keep writing these painful memories, journaling it over and over again, speaking about it. It's the poisonous thoughts that we have to get out of our system. Betrayal trauma can last up to 6 years or more, even though you recovered for 1 year. Healing takes time. Forgetting is the difficult part of it all. Don't focus on forgiving and forgetting. Our goal to overcome betrayal is to find ourselves again. Where is she? Where did she go? What happiness looks like before I met this person?
Story 3.
Sometimes I feel good for several days and do not spend much time thinking about the betrayal, but then it hits me again and I start ruminating. But I would say I am getting better. I guess it just takes time depending on how deep was the betrayal. And yes, in this case, the betrayal was so deep for me that I felt like I do not know the person at all. He is a stranger to me.
Story 4.
I was with this man who seemed like everything I wanted, and he was so genuine. We shared deep conversations, vulnerability, moments of love and tenderness, and it felt magical. I was so in love and was so happy, and I thought he was too. But in just a short span of few months, he turned 180 and became emotionally very cold, dismissive and distant, while I remained consistently emotionally open and vulnerable. I was very disoriented with this change and was left with what he used to be. I ended up with someone I barely recognized. And not only that, but also was not able to respect me as he scolded me and yelled me when I asked direct questions to clarify things in our relationship, saying things like, "Don't push me," and "you need to understand my condition and status," without even specifying what it is. Mind you, this was when I had a mental health crisis, and he was expecting a mentally unwell person to meet his expectations about how I should behave or communicate to please him. I was left very sad, confused, angry. He never reached out to ask if I'm okay post-crisis. And everything he said about wanting to see me someday, that I am special, I am beautiful, he wants a hug when he sees me again one day, is all talk only.
Story 5.
I think that's the hardest part about my breakup. If it had ended simply because we were incompatible, I would be upset. But deep down, I would understand. My relationship ended a couple of months ago because she was emotionally involved with someone else. And of course, there's the pain of losing what felt like a strong and loving relationship. But what hurts the most is the knowledge that she lied to me about this guy that she didn't feel that way about. It makes me question our entire relationship. This woman that I loved lied to me repeatedly, betrayed me, and it feels like she doesn't even regret it. How can this be the same person that lay in bed with me, planning our future? How can this be the same woman that went on all our trips and adventures? How can this be the same woman I fell deeply in love with? Am I foolish for believing all her words? Those questions still haunt me, and it feels like they'll never go away. Introspection can be valuable, but only insofar as it helps you grow. When I reflect on the past, I try to think about what I could have done that may have contributed to this situation, but not in a way that seeks to win her back. I focus on acknowledging my own issues so that I don't carry them into any future relationships. The only thing that provides me with temporary relief from the pain is looking forward. I try to view the good times in our relationship as a blueprint for what I want with someone else who deserves it, rather than as something I lost. I tell myself that at some point in the relationship, I most likely did truly know this person, but that person no longer exists. The person I loved and trusted completely is not who remains. What's left is someone who felt little to no remorse about leaving me. I need to grieve the loss of the person I once knew, not the person she became.
Story 6.
Yes, this is the absolute hardest thing I have ever gone through. I was completely blindsided by my breakup. We were together for 12 years. We had trips planned for the summer. The week before she brought me breakfast to work, we were talking about buying a trailer, and then she did a complete 180, asked for a break, and I later found out she was having an affair with someone who lives almost next door. She left me for her too. How did I miss it? I even invited this other person to my house twice. I let her help with my dogs. I went to her house a few weeks before this all started. 12 years did nothing for my ex, and she was able to leave everything behind, while I am left to pick up the pieces and try to process what happened. It's been 5 months, but I feel like I am still in it. I mean, I kind of am, as I literally see my ex's car parked in that house, and I see her go in and out happily, like it's no big deal. She doesn't care. I never saw this side at all. Were our 12 years together a lie? How did I miss it? How did I feel so safe with someone who was able to change this fast?
Story 7.
My ex. We broke up just before we were due to go on holiday. I thought it was amicable. I went anyway because the holiday was paid for and my best friend and her boyfriend were going. One day, I was sitting on the beach and my phone rang, and it was a wireless Verizon call. It said that if I didn't upgrade my text messaging plan, I would be charged X amount, because someone had sent an excessive amount of out-of-network text messages. Later that day, I went back to the hotel and checked our statement. He was texting and calling a girl for at least a week before we broke up, but he was doing it when I wasn't home or he was at work. I confronted him and he confessed. He was planning to move out of our house while I was gone, and I'm sure he brought the girl over to my house to help him pack his things. This is what pissed me off the most.
If you have a story you would like to share, please share it with us in the comments. Also, subscribe to my channel for more Reddit stories like this. And don't forget to turn on notifications. Take care, friends.